What is emotional well-being? Psychological wellness alludes to intellectual, social, and enthusiastic prosperity. It is about how individuals think, feel, and carry on. Individuals here and there utilize the expression, emotional well-being, to mean the non-appearance of a psychological problem. Psychological wellness can influence everyday living, connections, and actual well-being. In any case, this connection additionally works the other way. Elements in individuals carries in with, relational associations, and actual elements would all be able to add to psychological well-being interruptions. Caring for psychological wellness can save an individual's capacity to appreciate life. Doing this includes arriving at a harmony between life exercises, duties, and endeavors to accomplish mental flexibility. Conditions, for example, stress, discouragement, and nervousness would all be able to influence psychological wellness and upset an individual's daily schedule. In spite of the fact that the term emotional wellness is in like manner use, numerous conditions that specialists perceive as mental problems have actual roots. In this article, we clarify what individuals mean by psychological wellness and dysfunctional behavior. We additionally portray the most widely recognized sorts of mental issues, including their initial signs and how to treat them. What is psychological well-being? As per the World Health Organization, WHO, psychological well-being is a condition of prosperity where an individual understands their own capacities, can adapt to the ordinary anxieties of life, can work beneficially, and can make a commitment to their locale. The WHO stress that emotional well-being is something other than the non-attendance of mental problems or handicaps. Peak psychological well-being is about maintaining a strategic distance from dynamic conditions as well as taking care of continuous well-being and joy. They likewise underline that safeguarding and re-establishing emotional wellness is vital on an individual premise, just as all through various networks and social orders the world over. In the United States, the National Alliance on Mental Illness gauge that very nearly 1 out of 5 grown-ups experience emotional well-being issues every year. In 2017, an expected 11.2 million grown-ups in the U.S., or about 4.5% of grown-ups, had an extreme mental condition, as per the National Institute of Mental Health (NIMH). Danger factors for emotional wellness conditions. Everybody has some danger of building up a psychological well-being problem, regardless of their age, sex, pay, or identity. In the US also, a great part of the created world, mental problems are one of the main sources of incapacity. Social and monetary conditions, organic elements, and way-of-life decisions would all be able to shape an individual's emotional well-being. A huge extent of individuals with a psychological wellness issue have more than each condition in turn. Note that great emotional well-being relies upon a sensitive equilibrium of elements and that few components of life and the world everywhere can cooperate to add to messes. The accompanying elements may add to psychological well-being disturbances. Persistent social and financial weight. Having restricted money-related methods or having a place with an underestimated or abused ethnic gathering can build the danger of emotional wellness issues. A 2015 investigation of 903 families in a country recognized a few financial reasons for psychological well-being conditions, remembering destitution and living for the edges of a huge city. The specialists likewise clarified the distinction in the accessibility and nature of emotional wellness treatment for specific gatherings as far as modifiable variables, which can change over the long haul, and non-modifiable components, which are lasting. Modifiable components for psychological wellness issues include financial conditions, such whether work is accessible in the neighborhood, occupation, an individual's degree of social contribution, schooling, lodging quality. Non-modifiable variables include sexual orientation, age, identity. The investigation records sexual orientation as both a modifiable and non-modifiable factor. The analysts found that being female expanded the danger of low emotional well-being status by 3.96 times. Individuals with a powerless financial status likewise scored most noteworthy for emotional well-being conditions in this examination. Natural elements. The NIMH propose that hereditary family ancestry can improve the probability of emotional wellness conditions, as specific qualities and quality variations put an individual at higher danger. Nonetheless, numerous different elements add to the advancement of these problems. Having a quality with connections to an emotional well-being problem, for example, discouragement or schizophrenia, doesn't ensure that a condition will create. In like manner, individuals without related qualities or a family background of dysfunctional behavior can at present have emotional wellness issues. Psychological wellness conditions, for example, stress, discouragement, and uneasiness may create because of basic, groundbreaking actual medical issues, for example, disease, diabetes, and constant agony. Basic psychological wellness issues. The most widely recognized kinds of dysfunctional behavior are as per the following: tension problems, state of mind problems, schizophrenia issues, nervousness problems. As indicated by the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, nervousness problems are the most well-known kind of dysfunctional behavior. Individuals with these conditions have serious dread or nervousness, which identifies with specific articles or circumstances. The vast majority with a nervousness problem will attempt to keep away from introduction to whatever triggers their uneasiness. Instances of uneasiness problems include summed up tension issue, GAD. The American Psychiatric Association characterize GAD as unbalanced concern that upsets ordinary living. Individuals may likewise encounter actual indications, including fretfulness, weariness, tense muscles, intruded unrest. An episode of uneasiness manifestations doesn't really require a particular trigger in individuals with GAD. They may encounter inordinate nervousness on experiencing regular circumstances that don't present an immediate threat, for example, tasks or keeping arrangements. An individual with GAD may some of the time feel nervousness with no trigger by any stretch of the imagination. Frenzy problems. Individuals with a frenzy problem experience normal fits of anxiety, which include unexpected, overpowering fear or a feeling of impending fiasco and demise. Fears. There are various sorts of fear. Basic fears. These might include an unbalanced dread of explicit items, situations, or creatures. A dread of bugs is a typical model. Social fear, sometimes known as social tension, this is a dread of being dependent upon the judgment of others. Individuals with social fear frequently confine their introduction to social conditions. Agoraphobia. This term alludes to a dread of circumstances where moving ceaselessly might be troublesome, for example, being in a lift or moving train. Numerous individuals misjudge this fear as a dread of being outside. Fears are profoundly close to home, and specialists don't have the foggiest idea about each kind. There could be great many fears, and what may appear to be strange to one individual might be a serious issue that overwhelms day-by-day life for another. Over-the-top urgent problem, OCD. Individuals with OCD have fixations and impulses. At the end of the day, they experience consistent, unpleasant contemplations and an amazing desire to perform dreary acts, for example, hand-washing. Post-awful pressure problem, PTSD. PTSD can happen after an individual encounters or witnesses a profoundly upsetting or horrendous mishap. During this kind of function, the individual feels that their everyday routine or others' experiences are in harm's way. They may feel apprehensive or that they have no power over what's going on. These impressions of injury and dread may then add to PTSD. Mindset problems. Individuals may likewise allude to mindset problems as full of feeling issues or burdensome issues. Individuals with these conditions have critical changes in disposition, by and large including either craziness, which is a time of high energy and delight, or melancholy. Instances of mindset problems include significant sadness. A person with significant discouragement encounters a steady low disposition and loses interest in exercises and functions that they recently appreciated. They can feel delayed times of bitterness or outrageous trouble. Bipolar confusion. An individual with bipolar turmoil encounters abnormal changes in their disposition, energy levels, levels of action, and capacity to proceed with everyday life. Times of high disposition are known as hyperstages, while burdensome stages welcome on low state of mind. Occasional full of feeling problem, sad, reduced sunlight triggers throughout the fall, winter, and late winter months trigger this sort of significant sorrow. It is generally regular in nations a long way from the equator. Schizophrenia problems. Psychological well-being specialists are as yet attempting to decide if schizophrenia is a solitary problem or a gathering of related diseases. It is an exceptionally unpredictable condition. Indications of schizophrenia commonly create between the ages of 16 and 30 years, as per the NIMH. The individual will have contemplations that seem divided, and they may likewise think that it's difficult to handle data. Schizophrenia has negative and positive indications. Positive manifestations incorporate daydreams, thought issues, and pipe dreams. Negative side effects incorporate withdrawal, absence of inspiration, and a level or wrong mindset. Early signs. There is no actual test or sweep that dependably shows whether an individual has built up a psychological maladjustment. Nonetheless, individuals should pay special mind to the accompanying as potential indications of a psychological wellness problem. Pulling out from companions, family, and associates. Staying away from exercises that they would ordinarily appreciate. Resting excessively or excessively little. Eating excessively or excessively little. Feeling sad. Having reliably low energy. Utilizing disposition-changing substances, including liquor and nicotine, all the more every now and again. Showing negative feelings. Being confounded. Being not able to finish everyday errands, for example, having the chance to work or preparing a dinner. Having persevering contemplations or recollections that return routinely. Considering making actual damage themselves or others. Hearing voices. Encountering fancies. Treatment. There are different techniques for overseeing emotional wellness issues. Treatment is exceptionally individual, and what works for one individual may not work for another. A few systems or medicines are more fruitful in mix with others. An individual living with a persistent mental issue may pick various alternatives at different stages in their day-to-day existence. The individual requirements to work intimately with a specialist who can assist them with distinguishing their necessities and furnish them with reasonable treatment. Medicines can include psychotherapy, or talking treatments. This sort of treatment adopts a mental strategy to treating psychological sickness. Intellectual conduct treatment, presentation treatment, and persuasive conduct treatment are models. Therapists, clinicians, psychotherapists, and some essential consideration doctors do this kind of treatment. It can assist individuals with understanding the foundation of their psychological instability and begin to chip away at more invigorating idea designs that help ordinary living and lessen the danger of disengagement and self-hurt. Medicine. A few people take recommended prescriptions, for example, antidepressants, antipsychotics, and anxiolytic medications. In spite of the fact that these can't fix mental issues, a few prescriptions can improve indications and help an individual resume social connection and an ordinary everyday practice while they chip away at their psychological well-being. A portion of these meds work by boosting the body's retention of feel-great synthetic compounds, for example, serotonin, from the cerebrum. Different medications either support the general degrees of these synthetic compounds or forestall their corruption or demolition. Self-improvement. An individual adapting to psychological well-being troubles will ordinarily need to make changes to their way of life to encourage health. Such changes may incorporate diminishing liquor admission, resting more, and eating a fair, nutritious eating regimen. Individuals may need to remove time from work or resolve issues with individual connections that might be making harm their psychological wellness. Individuals with conditions, for example, a tension or burdensome issue may profit by unwinding methods, which incorporate profound breathing, contemplation, and care. Having an encouraging group of people, regardless of whether by means of self-improvement gatherings or dear loved ones, can likewise be basic to recuperation from dysfunctional behavior. Self-destruction anticipation. On the off chance that you know somebody at impending danger of self-mischief, self-destruction, or harming someone else. Pose the intense inquiry, would you say you are thinking about self-destruction? Tune into the individual without judgment. Call the neighborhood crisis number. Remain with the individual until proficient assistance shows up. Attempt to eliminate any weapons, drugs, or other conceivably unsafe items.